Coming up on Global Business, closer ties. China and Honduras mark the one-year anniversary of their diplomatic relations with celebrations as bilateral trade flourishes. Strong start. China kicks off the yuan. Kick off the year with robust retail sales, imports and exports and industrial production during the first 2 months. And regional development. Boer Forum for Asia commences in Hainan province, fostering regional development discussions. Hello, welcome to this edition of Global Business. I'm Zheng Jufeng. Nauru's President David Dion is on a state visit to China this week. His visit is a milestone since the resumption of diplomatic ties between Nauru and China in January 2024. Following his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Monday, a joint statement has been released outlining key agreements.
The joint statement hails the re-establishment of diplomatic ties based on the One China principle. Adherence to the principle is aligned with the mutual benefits and interests of both nations. The resumption of ties lays the groundwork for future cooperation based on mutual respect and shared development goals. Nauru praises China's progress under President Xi and sees China's modernization as a model for developing countries' growth. Nauru endorses President Xi's visit for a shared future for mankind and his initiatives on global development, security and civilization. Both countries agree that all nations are equal, regardless of their size or power. China supports Nauru's sovereignty and right to choose its own development path. Nauru acknowledges the People's Republic of China as the sole legal government and Taiwan as an integral part of China. It opposes Taiwan independence and external interference in China's internal affairs. Nauru views issues concerning Hong Kong, Xinjiang and Xizang as China's domestic matters and emphasizes the principle of non-interference in other countries' internal affairs. The two sides pledged to deepen bilateral relations through increased high-level exchanges among state institutions. China invites Nauru to join the Belt and Road Initiative and will seek ways to align it with Nauru's development strategy. China will enhance bilateral cooperation in a wide range of sectors, from trade to environmental protection. China also endorses Nauru's prompt entry into the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Both countries agree to uphold values of peace, development, fairness and democracy and support multilateralism based on the UN-centered international system and the WTO-led multilateral trade framework. China and Nauru recognize climate change as a global challenge. They agree to support the implementation of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement. On regional stability, both sides pledge cooperation for peace, development and stability in the Pacific Island region, uphold the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and the South Pacific Nuclear-Free Zone. China reasserts its support for the Pacific Islands in implementing the Blue Pacific 2050 strategy. Both parties agree to deepen their cooperation through bilateral and multilateral cooperation platforms.
Chinese President Xi Jinping and Honduran President Xiomara Castro exchanged congratulations Tuesday on the first anniversary of the two countries' diplomatic relations. President Xi highlighted progress in bilateral ties since Castro's state visit to China in June last year. Xi said China-Honduras ties are based on mutual respect, equality and mutual benefit. He expressed appreciation for Honduras' adherence to the One China principle. President Xi also reiterated China's commitment to further strengthening ties with the Central American nation. President Castro hailed China as a global role model and key partners for Honduras, noting China's contributions to innovation and poverty reduction. She reaffirmed Honduras' support for the One China principle and hoped for lasting friendship between the two nations. Now, 1 year after establishing diplomatic relations, Honduras and China have witnessed positive developments in their trade exchanges. Bilateral trade between the two nations saw a remarkable increase of over 21% in 2023, reaching a total value of $1.9 billion. In June 2023, China's General Administration of Customs granted permission for the import of various Honduran products, including fresh bananas, coffee beans, and aquatic products. This move significantly boosted Honduras' exports to China, surpassing $81 million that year. Furthermore, in the same month, China and Honduras signed a memorandum of understanding to promote the Belt and Road Initiative, with a particular focus on strengthening cooperation in clean energy and low-carbon technologies. Additionally, the two countries signed an earlier harvest agreement as part of their free trade agreement negotiations, allowing Honduran shrimp exports to China to benefit from tariff-free treatment. For more discussions on China-Honduras ties, let's bring in Yue Junxia, Director of the Department of Economics at the Institute of Latin America Studies, Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Thanks for joining us, Ms. Yue. What is the potential for Honduras to sell more products to China other than fruits and farm produce and aquatic products?
Yes, thank you for the question. Yes, in fact, Honduras still has some other potentials. And we divide it into export of goods and export of service. In good fields, if we look at Honduras export to the world, we can find, except for agricultural products, Honduras also exports some textiles, clothing, and some electronic machinery. That means Honduras is part of the global value chain. So in the goods fields, Honduras has a potential to export some manufactured goods to China in the future. In the service fields, we can find Honduras has some advantages in service like tourism. So in the future, I believe with the deepen of our mutual understanding and our cooperation, Honduras will export more service to China.
Ms. Yue, how much do you know about Honduras' infrastructure condition? What infrastructure demand does Honduras have to facilitate its development?
Yeah, in fact, Honduras still has a large room to improve its infrastructure. And if we look at the infrastructure, its domestic infrastructure, we can find Honduras in these years invest a lot in road infrastructure, productive infrastructure, and social service infrastructure. In fact, China has provided some help on the social service infrastructure and on the road and productive infrastructure. And I think Honduras has a demand, and China has some ability. And besides this, we know Honduras is one of important Central American country. The connection between Honduras and other Central American country is very important. So it is also has a big demand on the Central America connectivity, such kind of infrastructures.
Now, what is the current status of free trade negotiation and green cooperation between China and Honduras?
Yes, you know, or as we know, Honduras and China, we have got the early harvest in our FTA negotiation.
Yeah.
And we have the fourth round of negotiation on the FTA, and we reached some agreement on trade in goods, trade in service, investment, and regulations. In fact, you know, green cooperation is a kind of cooperation, include the trade and manufacture cooperation, investment. So nowadays, in fact, we have make a good preparation for the green cooperation. We can have more room for the relevant products and relevant machinery and textiles import and export. Meanwhile, more importantly, we have some mechanism construction. We have more rules to protect our cooperation in green fields.
Thank you very much for your insights. That's Ms. Yue Yunxia from Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Appreciate it. Chinese officials have released the latest economic data for the first 2 months of 2024. The figures announced by the Ministry of Commerce in Beijing on Tuesday provide fresh insights into the key areas of the national economy. My colleague Liu Jiaxing has the details.
In the first 2 months of 2024, China's Ministry of Commerce reports total retail sales for consumer goods reached more than 8 trillion yuan, a year-on-year increase of 5.5%. Retail sales for communication equipment and automobiles increased by more than 16% and 8.7% respectively, while catering revenue increased by 12.5%. Especially during the Spring Festival, travel spending by domestic tourists increased by 7.7% compared to 2019, and the number of cinema goers also hit a new high.
We encourage trade-in programs in consumer goods, such as automobiles and home appliances. We will cultivate and expand green consumption and promote the innovative development of the consumption of services.
Imported and exported goods over the first 2 months reached 6.6 trillion yuan, an increase of 8.7%. Export of integrated circuits and automobiles grew by more than 28% and nearly 16% respectively. Growth in the information technology industry is dominated by advanced manufacturing and new energy products. Output for service robots, 3D printing equipment, and other products increased by over 22% and nearly 50% respectively year-on-year. Officials say industrial production, manufacturing investment, and industrial exports all showed significant growth.
Private investment in the manufacturing industry achieved double-digit growth, and exports in machinery, home appliances, and other industries all achieved double-digit growth. 5G applications have been integrated into 71 major categories of the national economy.
Based on the data of the first 2 months, the government said it is optimistic about the China's economic growth in 2024. Officials said the key objectives of the government this year are to expand domestic demand, enhance consumption, stabilize foreign trade, as well as to promote digitalization of the manufacturing. Liu Jiaxing, CGTN, Beijing.
For more discussion on China's economic status, especially in the first 2 months of the year, let's bring in Li Yong, Chief Researcher of our DNC think tank. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Li. The Custom Office reported that trade in the first 2 months was very good, reaching 6.6 trillion yuan. That's a record high. What do you think are the factors behind this strong performance?
Well, I think, there are many factors, coming into play to achieve that kind of results. First of all, I think it is the government support and policies, particularly, those policies were staged last year, particularly the next half of last year, and those policies and measures have started to pay off, and particularly, the government support for companies to go out, in order to meet with their to support companies, to meet with their customers, to develop new customers, and so on and so forth. So one indicator that proves that is that there are 40,000 more new trading companies emerged, from last year. So that, I think, is a demonstration of the extra effort made by the company, by the trading businesses. And the second, I think, factor is the optimization of the market. We can see almost all the traditional markets, the export destinations, have demonstrated different levels of growth. And the new markets, they have also demonstrated quite strong growth, both in terms of import and export. And what needs mentioning is the the import growth, which is pretty high, I think that that is the result of the
strong domestic demand.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that is the that is pulled, I think, by the domestic demand.
On car consumption side, you just mentioned strong domestic demand. On the manufacturing, on the production side, according to the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, China's industrial added value increased by 7% annually in the first 2 months of the year. How significant is this growth, 7%?
I think 7% is pretty good, particularly if you look at this growth rate in the context of the growth in December, or at the last year, which is 4.2%. The year before that, 2022, it was like 2.7%. So we can see clearly this the industrial productions have been picking up quite strongly, and if we break down the number, we can see clearly the consumer goods manufacturing have demonstrated a quite strong rebound, which is now 4.7%, which is 4.4% higher than December. So that is also related to the strong domestic consumption rebound.
Thank you for insights into this. That's Mr. Li Yong, Chief Researcher of DNC think tank. You're watching Global Business. Come up next. Regional development. Boao Forum for Asia commences in Henan Province, fostering regional development discussions.
In response to global challenges and recognizing our shared destiny, we must promote peace, development, and cooperation. Addressing common challenges and fulfilling our shared responsibilities. Join us at the Boao Forum for Asia Annual Conference 2024.
Executives from major multinational companies gather in Beijing for an Invest in China summit hosted by China's Ministry of Commerce. Our reporter Yang Chengxi brings the details.
March is marked by a flurry of high-profile events like the China Development Forum and the Boao Forum for Asia. The underlying theme is the same: global investors and business executives discussing their plans and visions for the Chinese market. China's Ministry of Commerce is hosting a series of activities under an Invest in China campaign. This is the signature event, the Invest in China Summit of 2024 in Beijing.
To attract foreign investment in China, the key is to further build a market-oriented and internationalized business environment under the rule of law, allowing foreign enterprises to feel secure in developing and continuously growing in China.
The Chinese vice president's speech was followed by remarks from CEOs of some of the world's biggest companies, from energy giant Saudi Aramco to medical firm Pfizer. Special sessions were also held on issues relating to optimizing payment services and cross-border flow of data. Some business leaders say they are encouraged by officials offering more clarity on industry policies.
We are very grateful that these measures and clarifications are coming. When there is unclarities about, for example, how to manage data, the risk increases in our perception, and we don't know what measures we should take in order to be compliant with the Chinese new laws. These clarifications help us to have a long-term focus on our investment.
Another positive change is how China announced in a policy paper last year that various government departments will enhance their coordination to assist foreign firms, said commodity processing firm Louis Dreyfus.
We have raw materials outside China, and we have the product sales in China, so we have a cross-border commodity hedging needs. So that requires the joint effort between multiple regulation departments.
A key theme of the speeches from Chinese officials at the summit is ensuring a level playing field for both domestic and international companies, one of the biggest concerns for foreign firms. Yang Chengxi, CGTN, Beijing.
One of Asia's high-profile conferences on regional development, the Boao Forum for Asia, has kicked off in South China's Henan province. The four-day event runs into Friday. On top of the agenda are discussions on global security, the world economy, science-tech innovation, and the impact of artificial intelligence. The Boao Forum released today its annual report on Asia's economic prospects. It expects Asia's economic growth to hit 4.5% this year, largely supported by strong consumption. But the report also warned of weak foreign demand. Rising tensions in the Middle East, especially the Red Sea crisis, taking its toll on Asia's economic growth. The report forecasts global trade and investment to witness modest improvement, but still below pre-pandemic levels due to subdued economic growth, geopolitical tensions, and tight credit. Earlier, participants at the Boao Forum for Asia shared their insights on the Asian development outlook.
In 2022, Asian economies experienced a net outflow of $10.4 trillion in aggregate investments, while absorbing $8.8 trillion in aggregate investments. There is still a deficit, highlighting the necessity for Asia to further broaden and deepen its financial markets. There is hope for even greater advancements in the future.
In 2024, major Asian countries' capital markets, foreign exchange markets, bond markets, and banking sectors are expected to achieve stability, owing to the steady economic recovery and the deceleration in external monetary policy tightening.
Countries across Asia have reached a consensus on achieving economic integration. To further promote regional economic integration more effectively, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership can enhance its rules and standards, expand cooperation areas, and increase its membership to allow more countries, businesses, and labor forces to participate in specialized production and division of labor.
So I think that the Belt and Road Initiative is also a very good Chinese policy. It's good for a couple reasons. This is important not only for the success of Chinese companies, but also for China to take its responsibility to help other countries who are less fortunate to develop further. And China has been sharing some of its green technologies with other countries. It's also been doing things like helping to develop railroads, like light railroads in Africa, so that people can collaborate better and also be more green efficient in transportation, as opposed to if everyone uses cars. So I think the Belt and Road has been really useful. The Belt and Road Initiative has also been useful because it has adapted. It's adapted to have a focus on green technologies. It's also adapted to have an electronic focus.
The Boao Forum for Asia's Sustainable Development, Asia and the World Annual Report was also released at Boao Forum. The report says green development has made significant achievements in Asia, but there are many challenges ahead. Cheng Tong takes a closer look.
The report says global power generation-related carbon emissions hit a record high in 2022, reaching 13.2 billion tons, and Asia has the world's largest energy demand and carbon emissions. Experts have pointed out that financing is a crucial factor in future green development. In Asia, over the past 1 year, financing has gone up sharply.
We've seen that the number of member nations of the Asian Development Bank has increased significantly from 59 to 109 since September 2023. The bank approved 235 projects with a total financing value of $44.8 billion. The total capital involved in these projects is about $150 billion. So the financing event has obviously seen a change.
Some experts believe the government should play a key role in bringing in more private players who are engaged in green financing.
I'm very sure that the public sector or the public finance has a very important role to play to create that enabling environment for private sector to come and do the business when it comes to doing renewable energy or clean energy projects.
The report says the level of development in power grids in Asia varies greatly. While Northeast Asia is way ahead, the penetration rate of power grid intelligence in some South Asian nations is pretty low. So there are still many challenges ahead for Asian nations to cooperate. Chen Tong, CGTN Boao, Hainan Province.
The Boao Forum places great emphasis on the development of youth and the support of young entrepreneurs. During the event, we spoke to Sipsi Pan, a talented director from Cambodia, who shared his inspiring journey of portraying the vibrant Lantau Mekong culture through art of filmmaking.
The cuisine in the category of intangible cultural heritage is slowly disappearing. Through the study of historical material, I'll make it into a film. I'm Pan Sisi from Cambodia. I'm 30 years old. I'm currently working in the film industry in Beijing, so I explore some cultural commonalities and show them. I'm now preparing an IP about mermaids. Around the world, like in Europe, China, India, a few cultural topics are popular. And now there's this high-speed train. It's been through from China to Laos and finally to the Southeast Asia. And I've been paying attention to the Mekong River as well, because I've been shooting about water life. The source of the Mekong River is the Lantau River. The Lantau River is actually the same, it's just the names are different. So I want to explore the culture itself. Making film is a writing tool. I write about culture through film. It is a vehicle for writing about culture and it's fun. In the future, I'll shoot more. Maybe I'll assist Chinese directors with shootings in China. Or I hope Chinese directors will come to Cambodia to assist my films. We would help each other. And I hope there's more cooperation on films between the two countries.
Moving on to some other headlines we're tracking at this hour. BYD, China's top automaker, achieved a net income contribute to shareholders of over 30 billion yuan, or more than $4 billion in 2023. This represents a remarkable year-on-year growth of 80%, the company said in a statement released on Tuesday. Australia's consumer sentiment dipped from its 20-month high in March due to concerns about the economic outlook and family finances, according to a survey published on Tuesday. The survey also indicates that consumers' mood significantly worsened following the Reserve Bank of Australia's policy meeting last week. And global bank messaging network SWIFT is developing a new platform for central bank digital currency, with plans set for the next 1 to 2 years. The platform, which recently underwent a trial involving 38 members from central banks, commercial banks and settlement platforms, represents one of the largest global collaborations on central bank digital currencies and tokenized assets to date, according to Nick Kerrigan, SWIFT's head of innovation. With that, we'll wrap up this edition of Global Business. I'm Jennifer in Beijing. Thanks for watching. CGTN will continue with more news and views. Please stay with us.